Okay, so hey guys, here is YouTube lesson number 2. It is going to be Wednesday morning when you watch this, or Wednesday afternoon if you're in the afternoon math groups. And if you're really observant, you will notice that I am wearing the same thing that I wore in the lines video because guess what? I'm trying to get my work done ahead of time. You know how I always tell you not to wait until the last minute to do things and to try and be on top of your stuff. Well, I'm trying to practice what I preach, and I'm trying to do what I tell you to do. And so I am going to be recording several lessons. So I swear I'm showering every day. I'm changing my clothes every day, even though I'm not going out and seeing anybody. So I just wanted you to, I don't know why I tell you these things, but you're my friends, right? We spend a lot of time together. I wanted you to know that I'm still taking care of myself. Whatever. I hope you're taking care of yourself. I hope you're doing well. I miss you. Okay, so here's geometry lesson number 2, numero dos. Okay, we are going to talk about 2 things today. We're going to talk about angles and we're going to talk about triangles. And we have to understand angles before we can understand how to look at the different kinds of triangles that we're going to look at, okay? I'm going to have actually, I think, 2 videos for this one. Maybe. We'll see. I'm going to watch the time and see how long this runs, okay? All right. So we're going to talk about 4 different types of angles first, okay? The first one we're going to talk about is acute angles. A-C-U-T-E. Now, I guess before we talk about the kinds of angles, we have to know what an angle is. An angle is 2 rays that share an endpoint, okay? 2 rays that share an endpoint. So if you remember, rays go on and on forever in a single direction. So I'm going to show you, here's an angle here. I have 1 endpoint, and I have 2 rays. You see that? Okay, it's made up of 1 endpoint, also known as a vertex, V-E-R-T-E-X, okay, and 2 rays, okay? Now, I went ahead and drew an example of an acute angle, okay? We're going to think about puppies for a minute, okay? I'm going to try and remember when Duke was a cute little puppy, all right? A cute little puppy, get it? If you see the word acute and you think, oh, a cute little puppy, oh yeah, those are the little angles, okay? Now, for angles, they can measure all the way around to 360 degrees, and acute angles, degrees is how you measure angles, okay? They're measured in something that's called degrees, just like inches or centimeters, things like that. It's the way we talk about how big an angle is, okay? So acute angles they have to be small, okay? And when they're small, they're going to go anywhere from 1 degree all the way to 89 degrees. 89 is the biggest acute angle that there can be, okay? So acute angles are the little ones, okay? Just like a cute little puppy, and they can measure from 1 degree to 89 degrees. Okay? All right. Now, you already had on Monday a small introduction to the word right angle. R-I-G-H-T, just like, your right hand. Okay? Right angles are super specific. They are exactly 90 degrees. They have to be 90 degrees. Okay? Just like that. They form the corners of rectangles and squares. L shape, T shape, that's a right angle. And it is exactly 90 degrees. Okay? Thumbs up. Everybody gets it? Let's see. I'll check. Oh, wait. That's right. You're not in front of me. I hope you get it. If not, remember, at the Zoom meeting, that's where you're going to ask me questions. Okay? All right. The next angle that we're going to talk about is called an obtuse angle. O-B-T-U-S-E. Obtuse. Obtuse are big angles. You see how I'm making a big deal out of B? Big angles, like a big open mouth, okay? When you think of obtuse angles, you want to think of a big mouth, the big open angle. Okay, the big open one. Okay, since these go past 90 degrees, right, it's bigger than a right angle, they go from 91 degrees to 170 79 degrees. The biggest obtuse angle that you're ever going to have is going to be 179 degrees, okay? Now, that's going to look really, really close to the very last angle, okay? So obtuse has the B in it, so we're going to remember it's the big one, okay? The last one that we have is known as a straight, S-T-R-A-I-G-H-T. This one's pretty easy when you look at it. What does it make, guys? That's right, a straight line. So a straight line is a straight angle, and its measure is exactly 180 degrees. Just like a 90-degree angle is a right angle, a straight angle is 180 degrees. Okay? All right, so far so good? Perfect. Now, we're going to talk about triangles now. We had to know a little bit about angles, and we had to know a little bit about lines before we can talk about triangles. Okay? All right, so we have, there are multiple ways to classify or group triangles, okay? We can have acute triangles. And when you think of acute triangles, we draw triangles where all the angles are little angles, okay? Acute triangles have all small angles. Okay? We also have obtuse triangles. Obtuse triangles, as you can see, have to have a really big angle, right? Okay? It has only one really big angle, though. You can see that this is a small angle, and this is a small angle, okay? But it does have one really big one, and if it has even one really big angle, it has to be known as an obtuse triangle, okay? So acute ones have all small angles, and then obtuse ones have one really, really big one, okay? The last one, just like when we were talking about angles, I bet you can't guess. Are you guessing which one it is? If you thought right triangle, you're right, okay? A right triangle has one and only one right angle, where its angle measure right there is 90 degrees, okay? So far we have acute triangles where all the angles are small. We have obtuse triangles where you have one really big angle. And then we have right triangles where if there's one angle that is the corner, the right angle, it has to be a right triangle, okay? These lines here, this one and this one, would be known as perpendicular because they form that right angle, okay? Got it? Thumbs up? Awesome. Now we're going to get into three other words that are used to describe triangles, okay? The first word is known as equilateral. Okay? Now, I want you to think about this right here, the equal part at the front. Equilateral. Okay, what do you think it means? I want you to think for a second. What does that sound like? Equilateral means that something has to be the same, right? Something has to be equal. When you have an equilateral triangle, all sides and all angles measure exactly the same, okay? It looks very special. When you were learning about triangles as a small child, you would have learned and seen equilateral triangles, and they showed you a three-sided shape. They said, what is this? And you said, it's a triangle. You know it's a triangle because it has three sides and three angles. And when all the sides are the same and all the angles are exactly the same, it's equilateral. This one is also acute at the same time. It's an equilateral triangle, but it's also an acute triangle because all the angles are acute angles. Okay? So far, so good? Perfect. Okay, now, the second one we're going to talk about is called isosceles. That word is really weird to say, weird to spell. All right, so I even have to look at how to spell this one, so I want to make sure I spell it right for you. It's Isosceles. And I want you to notice these two S's right here. This is how, I have a little trick for you, right? This is how you're going to remember isosceles. It only has two sides that are the same. And you've noticed, and I should have said this before, I'm sorry, I've been putting little geometry marks on here. When figures have the same marks, like I put 2 lines here and 2 lines here, even though you know my drawing really stinks and it's not good and accurate all the time, these 2 lines with those, that little marking on it, means that those lines are supposed to be the same length. You notice I only put 1 little dash on this one down here. That means that that is not the same length as the others. Isosceles triangles have 2 sides that are what's known as congruent or equal, okay? So isosceles triangles have 2 sides that are the same, okay? The last triangle that we're going to learn about today is called scalene. It's a weird word. I don't have any trick other than to say, since it's the odd one, this is that triangle where none of the sides are the same, okay? It doesn't have any equal sides. I would put 1 line here, 2 here, and 3 here to show that none of the sides measure the same, okay? So a scalene triangle has no sides and no angles that are the same, all right? So far, so good? Okay, now, when we talked about lines, we talked about how to name them. When we talk about how to name angles and triangles, I'm going to give you a quick explanation of that in this notes, and then we'll spend a good portion of our Zoom time drawing triangles and naming them, okay? So, when you name a triangle, if this was my triangle, it has 3 what are known as vertices, and let's say A, B, C, just to make it easy. This is triangle A, B, C. Really simple. I can name it CBA, CBA, BCA, as long as I'm going around the triangle in any order, okay? All right, then, when we name angles, that's a little bit different. The angle only has, let's call it M, N, T, okay? The angle has a vertex, okay? It has something that goes in the middle that holds it together. So when I name this angle, it only has 2 names. It can be M, N, T, from here, 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 or it can be T, N, M. Notice that in both of those names, N happens in the middle. The vertex has to be in the middle when you're naming angles, okay? All right, once again, I have made charts of these things for you, and I will be posting those pictures on the class story, or I think it's called Messages. I was told that it was called Messages for you guys, for the kiddos, so you can see, so you can go back and look at those pictures as needed to help fill in anything in your notes that you missed. I will be seeing you soon on Zoom meetings, all right? Make sure you have your notes. Bye.